Hello, and welcome to week 5 of Believing God in the In-Between study. I'm Kelly Ehrheart, and I've been so excited for this week titled Even in the Waiting. I love this topic because I too had a journey of infertility and miscarriage before having each of my 2 sons, and I found that waiting is a time where God can do so much work within us. And so, as I was preparing for this week, the question kept popping up in my mind, did Sarah wait well? And I think we have seen that the answer is both yes and no. She was not a perfect example of how to wait. She grew weary, and there were great consequences to her actions. But what I love is that surely we aren't perfect in our waiting either, and that we have seen that God is still faithful to give her hope for her future, to protect her, to work out his plan in his perfect timing, and to help with her unbelief. The same goes for us in our waiting. We're not always going to get everything right, but God will remain faithful to us. So how can we learn from Sarah? One thing her story tells us is that how we wait is so important. Today, I want to break this down into 2 questions. First, how do we wait well? And second, why is waiting well so important? So first, how do we wait well, and how do we not grow weary? God promises us in this week's verse, Isaiah 40:31, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." What a beautiful visual to hold in our minds. But I'm pretty sure that none of us are actual eagles, so how is it possible that we're going to mount up with wings in our waiting? How do we renew our strength as we wait on the Lord? Nehemiah 8:10 tells us the answer. "The joy of the Lord is my strength." It is this joy of knowing God that will give us strength in our waiting. And joy isn't simply a feeling of being happy. Happiness is temporary and based on circumstances. Joy is a state of being that is not based on circumstances. In fact, true joy can't exist apart from God because the origin of the meaning is the acceptance of God's grace. When we choose God's grace on our lives, we are choosing joy, which will surpass our circumstances, which will surpass the pain in waiting. And that is how he will renew our strength when we grow weary. When you have joy in the Lord, you can mount up with wings like eagles, no matter how long or how hopeless the situation might seem. What a gift. And what an incredibly loving Father who not only works things out in his perfect way in perfect time, he will renew our strength by giving us joy in him in the waiting process. And then this brings me to our second question, why is waiting well important? I remember that while I was still waiting to become a mother after so much disappointment, I was aware that how I waited mattered, not just for myself, but for others who were watching. Friends, family, even the medical staff I was encountering during this time. And I resolved that my waiting journey, no matter how it turned out, would shine God's goodness to others. I didn't wait perfectly. I had emotionally difficult times. But my greater desire was that in this waiting, it would be used for good. So be aware that waiting is a time where you are vulnerable. I believe that waiting is a fire that if we choose to find joy in God and let him renew our strength, he will refine us, build us, prepare us, and most importantly, draw us closer to him. He will build a testimony that we will be able to use to encourage others and bring glory to him. In contrast, it is that same fire of waiting that Satan knows we are vulnerable and will try to get us to burn ourselves with it. He will do whatever he can to make sure that we do not wait well or receive God's promises. And he especially does not want God given his glory. Don't give in to this. Jesus himself is our example in Hebrews 12:1-2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Jesus went through an unthinkably difficult time, and it's because he chose the joy set before him that he was able to persevere, to throw off the temptation to quit or to choose another plan. And it was this decision that not only brought him to sit at the right hand of God, but also gives testimony to the rest of us of God's incredibly good and perfect plan. People are watching how you navigate this time, how you handle the struggle of waiting. There's a good chance that the wonderful part of your testimony is being developed in it. Victory is not just in God's promises fulfilled, but in Him being with us while we wait, supplying our joy, renewing our strength. May your waiting be a time where you experience the nearness of God's presence. May you find joy in the Lord so that you can run and not grow weary, because it is actually Him carrying you through. Thank you.